Hello everybody and welcome to the Import-Export Hub newsreel. Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of minutes. And without further ado, let's start with the quiz question for this week, which goes like this. To whom did Turkey exported the most, of course, cumulatively in 2021 in terms of value? And the options here are the United States, the United Kingdom, or Germany. And guys, the correct answer is Germany with some $19.3 billion worth of exports. And in case you're wondering, the United States came second and the United Kingdom third. And now with this being covered, I will move on to the Freightos index, which for week 16 stood at $9,142 with big movers involving Mediterranean to China sub-index, who was up 12%, and the North America East Coast to North Europe sub-index, who was down 9%. As for the main sub-indexes, as usual, I will start with the Trans-Pacific head holds, and we have $15,552 for the one connecting China to North America West Coast, and $17,150 for the one connecting China to North America East Coast. Now moving on to the crossways head holds, we have $11,638 for the one connecting China to North Europe, and $12,480 for the one connecting China to the Mediterranean. So guys, we have 6 weeks in a row in which the general index shrinked, and as I was saying at the beginning of this year, I think that in the next couple of weeks we will reach a plateau around 8.59Ks, in which the index will stabilize for a longer period, even though we're witnessing, I don't know, stressful events like the congestion and the lockdowns in China or the war in Ukraine. And speaking of lockdown, I will now move on to my first news, an advisory rather, coming from a maersk website, dated 22nd of April, which covers the situation in the Greater China area. And the guys, I don't know if you've seen those famous screenshots taken from marinetraffic.com, in which supposedly hundreds of vessels were anchored or waiting to be moored, and where the so-called gurus went on about the huge delays and inefficiency there. Well, I've told you in the past, and I will repeat it, use your gray cells, or I don't know, use your common sense and cross-check the information when dealing with things that you're not familiar with, because in those pictures you have markers ranging from navigation aids and pleasure crafts to tankers and passenger vessels, all looking messy and crowded. It easily captures the eye of the public, so it's quite understandable to see this picture trending on LinkedIn, for example. But anyway, the idea is that the situation is bad, but not apocalyptic as others wanted to portray. And here we have Maersk highlighting a couple of facts. The first one is related to dangerous cargo, as it seems that they have restarted the booking acceptance for IMO 2.2 and IMO 3 into Shanghai since the 22nd of April. The second one, it's about air operations, as it seems that Shenzhen and Guangzhou are up and running, but with 2 to 3 weeks longer than usual for the lead time of the inbound air freight, of course due to the increased volumes there. In terms of terminals, these remain open with business as usual activities, including vessel operation, yard handling, and gate in, gate out operations. And if you ask me, the main concern is the land side near and in Shanghai, where the situation is changing daily. But in order to mitigate this, Maersk is providing alternative solutions like barge or rail for the corridor between Shanghai and the nearby cities. So with the lockdown in place for the third week, I think already, and with a bigger number of vessels anchored or moored, The situation is not that apocalyptic as others want us to believe. I've said it in the past, China needs to feed itself, has to provide energy to the business operating there. China has to provide employment, and China has to export, and all these are heavily interrelated. And I think it's obvious that China's interest is to keep these engines moving. So everything related to transportation has to be operational, of course, under certain conditions, evidently slower than usual, but nonetheless operational. So that's the update about the situation in Greater China area coming from Maersk. And now I will move on to my second news, which personally I found it very interesting. It's coming from seatradeMaritime.com, and it's about the Vietnam Logistics Business Association, who wants to set up a container shipping line in order to compete with international lines. According to this article, this plan is divided into two phases of development. The first phase will be implemented in about 3 to 5 years' time, focusing primarily on investing in ships suitable to operate on intra-Asia routes such as Japan, South Korea, China, India, and the Middle East, which seems to represent, again according to this article, more than 60% of the total volume of dry goods related to imports and exports. And the second phase, which could last about for 5 years after, of course, successfully deploying this strategy from the first phase, should focus on investments in larger container ships in order to benefit from the economies of scale, and in order to grab some business on the Asia, North America, and Asia-Europe routes from the established shipping lines. So quite an interesting news here. Again, from my point of view, I do see Vietnam as an alternative to China in terms of sourcing or offshoring. And I think that with this move, and of course, if this becomes an operational reality, well, I think that they will strengthen Vietnam's role as an export hub for the region. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago, I've covered the news about Vietnam's steelmaker Hoa Phat intentions to venture into container building. And now with this news, putting the pieces together, it all makes sense. Of course, there is still the issue of securing the vessels, the development of agency networks, or I don't know, to man the vessels. But I'm sure that the Vietnamese authorities have this covered as well. And personally, I hope that they will somehow manage to go live with this project. And rest assured, as soon as I have new information about the development of this new project, I will follow up. And now with this being said, I'll move to my third news. I have one coming from containernews.com, and it's about the largest European port in terms of TEUs handled, which is Rotterdam. I will be very, very brief here, and basically it seems that for the first quarter of 2022, the port announced a slight container volume decrease of 1.4% in relative terms to 3.6 million TEU in absolute ones. However, in terms of tons, the fall is larger as the transshipment volume dropped by almost 22%. And because of the war in Ukraine began only in late February, the impact on throughput volumes in the first quarter was still limited. So beginning with the second and third quarters, most probably we will see the volumes drop even more in Rotterdam. But my guess is that Rotterdam is still one of the most resilient ports in Europe or in the world, maybe because of the technology deployed there, the cargo mix, its hinterlands, and of course because of Rotterdam's position in the ocean shipping networks of the shipping lines. So I think that the drop won't be as sharp as in other big European ports, for example. Anyhow, with this news being also covered, I will move on to my last one. It's coming from splash247.com and it covers the Federal Maritime Commission meetings with the container lines in its review on how they are servicing the United States exporters. And basically, last week, the Federal Maritime Commission, through their audit program, finished the first round of meetings with these 11 shipping lines in its review on how key ocean carriers are servicing U.S. export shippers. And here, according to this article, the initial findings from the interviews will be presented to the Federal Maritime Commission at a later meeting later this spring. So basically, for now, we don't have the results just yet. There was a lot of debate about the audit program when it was issued. And personally, I hope that the industry professional from the United States participating in this audit program asked the right questions and point to the real problems. So guys, until the official findings are out, I will stop here with this topic. For sure, I will cover it when the report comes out. And guys, with this being said, my time is up for today. Thank you all for watching. I really hope that you've liked it. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe buttons. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.